Hi, hope you enjoy the story that I made with the help with AI. Okay, let's go. The air in Aurora Vance's tiny apartment had always smelled of old books and the faint, comforting sense of her mother's baking. At 17, her world was small, safe, and predictable. High school volunteering at the local animal shelter in Bradford, West Gwillimbury, Ontario, and evenings spent lost in the pages of fantasy novels. She was an only child, cherished by her parents, and possessed a quiet nature that often led her to observe rather than participate, a trait her mother had always called thoughtful. The Syrian existence shattered on April 27, 2025. A sharp rap on the door echoed through the quiet rooms, jarring Alara from her homework. Peeked through the peephole, her breath caught. Two uniformed officers stood on her doorstep, their face grim under the late afternoon sun. Alora Vance, only one of them, a tall, stern-faced man she would later know as a detective Miller, asked when she hesitated to open the door. Yes? Her voice was barely a whisper. A strange premonition chilling her. We have a warrant for your arrest for armed robbery. Before she could process the words, cold metal clicked around her wrist. Handcuffs, her mind reeled. Innocent. She was innocent. Panic swelled, but a strange calm settled over her as they led her out. A flashlight of the cru- the cruiser painted the quiet, familiar street in a stark blue and red, transforming her safe neighborhood into an alien landscape. At the police station, the integration room felt suffocating. The air was thick with unspoken accusations. Detective Miller and his partner, Detective Reyes, a woman with keen observation eyes, questioned her relentlessly. They talked about a convenience store robbed, a witness identification, and blurred security camera image. Alora answered truthfully, her voice soft but steady. She explained where she'd been that night. Home watching movie with a friend, Thomas, and ordered pizza. You're you're not acting like a criminal, Miss Vance, Detective Reyes observed, her voice flat. Most people in your situation would be yelling, crying, denying everything more forcefully. Alora just looked at them, her eyes wide and clear. I'm innocent, she repeated. The simple truth, her only defense. I'm not hiding anything. I have nothing to hide. Her quiet demeanor, her lack of Historians seem only to deepen their suspicion. They saw composure. She felt numb, disconnected from the observed accusations. The judge, intentionally swayed by the police's confidence and the part and witness identification, set bail impossible high for her family. Laura was remained to rem- remanded to a women's correctional facility. The jail was a container of shouting, clanging metal, and pervasive smell of disaffected dent. Allure, still in shock, was led to a crowded cell. Her youthful face pale, and unmarried, and unmarred, immediately drew the predatory attention of some of the older, hardened inmates. Her intentional days were a blur of fear and confusion. Then the taunt started. Her quietness, her her apparent vulnerability was a beacon of aggression. Shoved in the recreation yard, escalated to pushing against the wall. Later, in the communal shower, a a, a quit sharp pain bloomed across her ribs. She gasped, but bit back her cry. Her mother had taught her to turn the other cheek, to believe in inherent goodness. So she endured the bruises blooming across her skin like macabrine flowers, each one a testament to her unwavering yet perhaps naive faith. Her silence was a shield, a silent protest against the injustice, a quiet hope that one day the truth would prevail. Weeks blurred into a monstrous cycle of fear and despair. The bruises on her ribs faded, replaced by new ones on her arms from an inmate who decided Ellora's meager lunch tray looked more appealing than her own. Elora just let her take it. Then on Tuesday, she was called into the visiting room. Detective Miller and Detective Reyes were waiting, a flicker of hope ignited within her. Miss Vance, Detective Miller began, We've gone over your alibi again. The individual you claim to be with that night, Mr. Mark Thomas, a lower breath hitch. He was with me. Can confirm everything. Mr. Thomas, as it turns out, Detective Reyes interjected, her voice devoid, devoid of emotion, was out of the country and that entire week. His passport stamped confirmed it. He was in Cabon, San Lucas, Mexico for the 10th to the 17th of April. The robbery, as you know it, occurred on the 12th. The heir left Alora's lungs in a rush. Mark had been with her. They had watched a movie, ordered pizza. How could he have been in Mexico? A cold dread speeded into her bones. She shook her head slowly. No, that's not right. He was at my apartment. We spent the evening together. Her voice was weak, and certainty she held so tightly began to crack. Detective Miller leaned forward. Miss Vance, we have his verified travel documents and we have security footage from the airport. So where were you on that night of the 12th? Laura stared at them, her mind scrambling for an explanation. He had been there. He had to have been being, but detectives' face were implacable. Their evidence seemingly irrefutable. She had trusted him implicitly. A sickening realization began to dawn on her. Someone had lied, and it wasn't her. The quiet, unyielding calm she had maintained for so long began to crumble, replaced by a desperate dawn terror. She didn't have an alibi, not one that stood by to scrutiny. She had trusted, and that trust had just landed her even deeper in a nightmare. Back to her cell, she pulled her knees to her chest, sobbing silently. Detective Reyes watched through the one-way mirror, saw not a conning criminal, but a young woman whose composure had utterly shattered. There were no theatrics, no desperate attempts to concoct another story. Just a wide tear-filled eyes that screamed betrayal and desperate despair. Allura then pressed her eyes together, fingers intertwined, closed her eyes, her lips moving silently in prayer. This wasn't the act of a liar, Reyes thought, but the desperate confusion of someone who truly believed of her own now debunked truth. I think we need to revise the witness identification, Reyes murmured to Miller, and maybe just maybe start looking at who else would want her framed. Reyes wasted no time. She revised the convention store, The clerk who had identified Alara under renewed scrutiny. The clerk admitted he only gotten a quick glimpse of the robber, who was wearing a hoodie. The lineup had been suggestive, and he felt pressured to choose someone. He hadn't been entirely sure. Reyes then pulled the security footage again. Then not for Laura, but for inconsistency. The robber's gait, the robber's gait, their height, the way they moved, none of it perfectly matched Alora's known movements. Investigation Mark Thomas, they discovered his history of minor fraud and recent gamble debts. Could he have been coerced into lying, perhaps to protect the real predator connected to his creditors? By the end of the week, Reyes had compiled a compelling motion of dismiss, detailing the shaky witness identification, the unreliability of Laura's only alibi, and the description in the security footage. When court reconvened, Judge Davies listened attentively to Reyes' presentation. She then turned her gaze to Laura. Miss Vance, you have heard the argument. Do you have anything you wish to say to the court under oath? Laura stood, her legs trembling. Your Honor, her voice was soft, but gained strength. I don't understand how Mark could have been in Mexico. I truly believe he was with me. I'm no, I had no, I had no other alibi because I believe in him. Tears welled. I swear, Your Honor, I have never stolen anything. I wouldn't. I'm not that kind of person. Her voice broke. I just want to go home, Your Honor. I'm innocent. Judge Davies' gaze then fell upon Alora's arm, noticing the faint discolored bruises. Miss Vance, she asked, I noticed some bruises on your arms. Have you been harmed during your time in custody? Aurora flinched, trying to pull her sleeve down. It's nothing, Your Honor, she mumbled. Answer the question, Miss Vance. The judge pressed her voice firm. Reluctantly, Aurora confessed in a barely audible whisper. Sometimes, yes, Your Honor. The other inmates, they don't like new people or quiet people. I didn't fight back. A heavy silence descended. The judge's expression hardened, and deep frown mixed with a quiet outrage. Judge Davies called a recess, asking to speak with Laura privately in her chamber. The room was warm, filled with books. Laura, the judge began, her voice gentle. You've been through a terrible ordeal, and I believe you. The bruises, your reaction. That's not a behavior of someone who committed a violent crime. I'm sorry you were put in this position. I'm sorry the system failed to see the truth sooner. Laura could only nod, tears streaming. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you for seeing me. We will make this right, Alora, the judge promised. You have my word. Back in the courtroom, Judge Davies' voice resonated, reson, voice resonated, give the completely new evidence and deeply troubling physical harm Miss Vance has suffered. This court has grave concern about the validity of the charges. However, due to process requires further investigation. Therefore, I'm suspending all proceedings for 3 months to allow for comprehensive reinvestigation. Bail months to allow bail will be set at a nominal amount. Ms. Vance will be required to return to court in 3 months for a full review of the final ruling. Laura was led back to jail. The hope she felt now tempered by crushing disappointment. 3 more months in that brutal place. Father Mike's visits became her anchor. He spoke of a journey of inner strength. You are carrying a heavy cross, my child, he told her. But even in the darkest nights, there is always a glimmer of dawn. Your innocence, your truth is the dawn. Hold on to it. The 3 months crawled by, each day a relentless test. She learned to make herself invisible, to anticipate the violent moods of others. The bruises still bloomed on her skin, at constant testament to her silent suffering. She found solace in prayer, and in the contraband notebook where she charcoaled her thoughts, a way to hold on to herself. Then came July 26, 2025, the day before her final hearing. A new inmate, Brenda the Brawler, Karen, a woman with a history of extreme violence, fixated on Alora. Perhaps it was Alora's innocence, her quiet dignity, which Brenda saw as a challenge. The attack came swiftly, mercifully and mercilessly. In the communal shower, the steam was thick, obstructing the view of the The cacophony of dripping water and distant shouting muffled in any cries. Laura was washing her back, turning, allowing herself a brief moment of quiet respite under a lukewarm spray, when the hair behind her suddenly chilled, and a guttural growl preceded the impact. Think you're too good for us? Ha, little princess? Brenda snarled, her breath hot and reeking of stale cigarettes. Her voice a low, menacing ramble, her just inches from Laura's ear. Before Laura could even register the words, a powerful shove slammed into her back, sending her sprawling onto the sleek floor, concrete floor. This The sudden impact knocked the wind out from her lungs, and she tasted the gray soap on her tongue. Before she could even gasp for breath, Brenda was on her terrifying wired wind of her fists and fury. Allure fight or flight response was completely overwhelmed. There was no fight in her, eh, no desperate lug or counter punch. Her body conditioned by mouth of passive endurance, instinctively curled in on itself. She pulled her knees to her chest, crossing her arms over her head, tried to make herself as small and impenetrable as possible. But the blows rained down on her without mercy. A sharp sear kick landed squarely onto her right rib, stealing her breath in painful gasp. She felt a burning sensation, a sudden incapacitating ache, then another kick just below it, sending a fresh wave of agony through her side. Punches hammered her face, and a heavy impact on her left cheekbone. A sickening thwack thwack that vibrated through her skull. Immediately following by a dull throbbing. Then, with a sickening crunch, Brenda's heavy fist connected with her lower lip, splitting it instantly. Elora tasted blood, warm and metallic, filled her mouth. A mix with the shower water. The pain was excruciating, searing through her, robbing her of breath, 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 of voice. She didn't scream, not because she was strong, but because the pain was so profound and it paralyzed her, trapped the sound in her throat. She could not hear faint. She could hear faint, sickening thuds as her head hit the hard ground. With each impact felt the excruciating pull as Brenda yanked a fistful of her hair, slamming her head re- re- repeatedly against the tiled wall. The world began to blur around the edges and kaleidoscope of pain. You're not so high and mighty now, are you? Brenda said, with a hiss. Her face and a distorted mask of rage above Aurora. The, the final kick delivered with vicious force landed in her stomach, a gut-wrenching impact that doubled her over force and choked when wet cough from her lips. It was a searing, hollow ache that made her vision swim. It felt like an eternity, though in reality it was probably less than a minute. Before the frantic shout of other inmates, finally breaking their terrified silence, echoed through the steam, alerting a distant guard. By the time help arrived, Elora was a crumbled, gasping heap, a gross, uh, grosses canvas of contusions. Brenda was pulled away, still spitting cruises, curses, her eyes blazing with chilling satisfaction. Laura was barely conscious, her body screaming in protest and with every attempt to move. She lay there enduring, waiting for the world to stop spinning. The next morning, July 27th, 2025, Laura was a grossly spectacle. Her left eye was swollen shut. A raw purple-black obscenity. Her right cheekbone was visible, bruised and puffing. Her lower lip was split and crusted with dry blood. Her neck, arm, and visible areas of her torso were a horrifying tapestry of angry red welts, deepening purple and sickly yellow from older contusions. Every muscle screamed, every bone ached. She moved like an old woman. Each step a carefully measured agony. She was given a painkiller, but it barely dulled the sharp edges of her suffering. Then when Detective Miller and Detective Reyes met her at the jail for transfer, their face drained of color. Aurora! Reyes gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. The girl they had seen weeks ago was now visibly broken. Miller swore under his breath. Allure, however, did it not flinch. Her one open eye, though puffy, held a direct, unwavering stare. There was no attempt to hide her injuries. Indeed, the sheer extent of them made hiding impossible. No, hiding impossible. She met their horrified looks not with embarrassment, but with a quiet, devastating defiance. Her head was held high, a profound, silence declaration. This is what your system did to me. This is the cost of my innocence. In the courtroom, the air cracked with palpable tension. Judge Davies swept in. Her unusual stern composure quickly gave way to a gasp as her eyes fell upon Aurora. The judge's face hardened, a grim line of forming her on her lips, her gaze burning with unspoken fury. Aurora was led to the bench, her every halting step a testament to the agony she was in. She didn't look down. She didn't try to hide the vibrant landscape of purple and yellow mirroring her skin. Her her one open eye met the judge clear and unwavering, a silent accusation. Miss Vance, Judge Davy's voice, usually so controlled, trembled. What a with a barely contained rage, approached the bench. Allure shuffled forward, her body screaming in protest. The judge leaned forward, her eyes scanned every inch of Allure's visible injuries. The sight was sickening. What happened to you? Judge Davies asked again, her voice low, dangerous, stripped of all judicial formality. Tell this court under oath in precise detail how you came to be in the condition. Do not leave anything out. Allure swallowed, her throat dry, her lips throbbing. She looked at the Detective Reyes, who gave her a small, firm nod. Then, in a voice that was raw and barely above a whisper, but resonant, resonated with undeniable truth. Allure recounted the horrifying incident. She spoke of Brenda, of the attack in the shower, of the blows, the kicks, and relentless pain. She didn't sensationalize, didn't embellish. She simply stated the facts of her suffering. Her quiet, unwavering tone making the brutality of the account even more chilling. I didn't fight back, Your Honor, Allure finished, her voice breaking on the last word. I just wanted to be over. They don't like quiet people. Her one eye, though swollen, held the judge's gaze unwavering, showing not shame but the profound truth of what had happened. The heavy, stunned silence fell over the courtroom. The prosecutor looked at Ashen. Detective Rhea's jaw was clenched. Judge Davies, her face a mask of profound grief and righteous fury, listened. This court finds the testimony of Miss Vance coupled with the undeniable physical evidence presented before me to be profoundly disturbing. Judge Davies stated, her voice shaking slightly with suppressed fury. It's unconscionable that a young woman presumed innocent and awaited judge judge uh, judicial process has suffered such brutal treatment while in custody of this state. Therefore, Judge Davies declared, her voice ringing with authority, based on the clear and compelling evidence of the misidentification and fraudulent nature of the primary alibi and the utterly deplorable and unconscionable condition physical harm Miss Vance has suffered while in custody, I hereby dismiss all charges against Laura Vance with prejudice. You are free to go effective immediately. A collective gasp swept through the court. A lawyer gripped her arm. Tears this time of overwhelming relief streaming down Alora's face. But Judge Davies was not finished. For, for, for furthermore, she continued, her voice sharp and unyielding, this court is ordered an immediate, full-scale investigation into the specific incident that led to Miss Vance's injuries. yesterday. I expect swift and decisive action against anyone found responsible. I'm also issuing a direct order for the a complete review of the security protocols, staffing, the inmates management practice, participants within that detention. Practically, I expect a preliminary report on this review within 1 week and full detailed plan of corrective actions within 1 month. The fate of Brenda, the brawler, the incarcerated, as Judge Davies' words resonated through the courtroom. A cold hard construct began to unfold for Brenda, the brawler, concerned. The immediate aftermath of her attack on Laura had seen her placed in administrative segregation, solitary confinement, a standard procedure for inmates on inmates assault. But Judge Davies' explicit order for an investigation into Laura's injuries, mentioned publicly in court and targeting the faculty itself, dramatically escalated Brenda's situation. The jail, under immediate pressure, would have no choice but to pursue the matter rigorously. Brenda would face internal disciplinary charge for assault, likely resulting in extended period of segregation, loss of prevalence, and significant setback to any possibility of parole. More severe, depending on the provincial law, the extent of Laura's injuries, Brenda could face new criminal charges for aggravating assault or assault causing body harm. Given her extant record, a new conviction would result in substantially longer sentence, likely served in a maximum security institution. For Brenda, this means a future increasingly confined and isolated. Her reputation for violence, once a tool for intimidation, now became a definitive mark against her. She would be classified as a high-risk inmate, constantly monitored, and likely transferred to a facility designed for the most dangerous offenders. Any glimmer of hope for rehabilitation or reintegration into society would dim. considerably. Brenda's rage, unchecked and now leading to further legal and disciplinary consequences, would likely deepen, trapping her in a perpetual cycle of violence and isolation within the correction system. A stark contrast to the freedom Allure had just found. As Allure stepped out of the courthouse, a blinding flash of light erupted. The media descended. Her lawyer tried to clear a path, but Allure stopped. She looked directly into the nearest camera, her one open eye conveying a profound weariness but also unwavering resolve. "Yes," she said, her voice raspy but clear. "All charges have been dismissed. The judge knows I'm innocent. I was accused of something that I didn't do, and those 3 months I was in jail waiting for the truth to come out, I was hurt badly." She gestured vaguely to her bruised face and arms. "But I never stopped believing the truth would come out. I never stopped hoping someone would see that what was really happening." She thanked Detective Reyes and Judge Davies. Her first stop was the hospital. Doctor and nurses moved with quite efficiency, documenting her extensive injuries. X-rays confirmed no major breaks, but revealed significant soft tissue damage. They treated her injuries, gave her pain medication. More than physical treatment, the hospital provided sanitary, right? Sanitary. She could sleep without fear, eat without it being snatched away. The simple act of being treated with kindness was powerful balm. The road to physical recovery would be long, but the emotional scars would take even longer. Her biggest challenge would be regaining a sense of safety and in the world that had betrayed her, and rediscovery her identity. Finding the girl she was before, now intertwined with severity she had become. Years later, Alora Vance became a respected figure in wrongful conviction of advocacy. She didn't just heal, she transformed her pain into purpose. Her personal story became powerful tool. She worked tirelessly with organizations, met colleagues, reviewed old cases, spotting inconsistency, and connected with those still incarcerated. She understood their despair, their isolation. She visited prisons, correct, corresponded with inmates, and guided their family through the legal labyrinth she became a compelling speaker, sharing her story, advocating for police reform, better integration techni- tech, techniques, and strict eyewitness identification protocols. She pushed her prison reform fiercely, advocating for safer conditions, especially within women's facilities, fighting for account- accountability for violence like she experienced. Alora's path was not just a career, it was a calling. Her voice, once a quiet whisper, now re- resonated with the undeniable truth of experience. She remained remained Allura, still thoughtful, still possessing a quiet dignity, but now she was a fierce, empathetic guardian of the innocent, ensuring that the suffering she endured was not in vain, but a catalyst for system systemic systemic change and beacon of profound hope for those who still lost in the darkness. The end. Sorry it took an hour for that, but I wanted to read it. And there were a lot of big words for me. So hopefully you understood what was happening and you enjoyed it. It wasn't a short story, but I enjoyed reading it and writing it. It's kind of what I've been going through too. Not the jail cell or anything, but like right now I'm trying to find myself again. After all that I've gone through. Like seizures, depression. I kind of understand that after a hard time or a hard experience, you need to find yourself again. So hopefully you enjoyed and understood what I was saying, because I know I don't have the best reading skills and a lot of the stammering or pausing. I was trying to sound out the word. God bless you.